Welcome back, everyone. Next up, we have Willow Biosciences. It trades on the OTCQB under the symbol CANSF and on the TSX under the symbol WLLW, and is a leading biotech company that develops precision fermentation processes for sustainable and cost-effective production of natural functional ingredients used in consumer care, food and beverage, and pharmaceutical products. Using their future-grown engineering platform, they can rapidly develop bio-based industrial processes to replace unsustainable, higher-cost extracted and synthetic ingredients. Today, we have with us Willow's CEO, Chris Savile. Now, Willow Biosciences CEO has close to 20 years experience in science, commercial, and operations roles in biotech. He is a highly experienced scientific and business leader focused on the scale up and commercialization of bio-based processes for specialty chemicals, food and beverage, and pharma. Dr. Savile has acted as a technical and commercial leader on several large R&D programs that led to commercial processes. Prior to Willow, Dr. Savile worked at Codexis and Intrexon. He received his PhD in organic chemistry from McGill University in 2005. It's a pleasure to bring on Dr. Savile. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks, Anna. Thanks for having me.
All right. I'm sure we are all intrigued to hear about this technology, so take it away and call me back for questions.
Excellent. Thanks, Anna. And thank you for the opportunity to tell you about Willow Biosciences. So yeah, we can skip that slide unless everybody wants to read it. But Willow Biosciences at its core, as Anna said, really is a biotech company where we're focused on making natural ingredients through precision fermentation. So precision fermentation is where we take organisms, we engineer these organisms, such as brewer's yeast, which we all know makes ethanol. We engineer the DNA of these organisms to produce higher value ingredients. And we do that to make ingredients primarily for personal care, food and beverage, and pharmaceutical products. So we develop these processes. You know, there's a focus on this because they're more sustainable. They can be more sustainable processes. They have a more secure supply chain, and ultimately, the most important thing is it can come with a lower cost than, say, traditional methods through natural extraction from biomass or synthetic methods to make synthetic ingredients. Now, at Willow, we offer a complete lab-to-manufacturing solution. So using a combination of our internal technology resources, where we're based here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and work with a global network of manufacturing partners to produce those ingredients. So we can take an idea, a concept from the computer through to the lab, and then work with our partners to scale and manufacture that ingredient and supply it to the sectors of interest, most of consumer care, food and beverage, and pharmaceutical sectors. So while we're a small company of only about 30 people, mostly in scientific roles, I believe we have a really rich pipeline of products and partnerships that I'm excited to tell you about today. Pardon me. So, as I mentioned, you know, we produce these natural ingredients through precision fermentation. So what exactly is that? That is where we actually take an organism, we engineer the DNA of that organism, and there's different ways to approach this, but the end result is that we engineer the DNA of these organisms to produce different ingredients. So we can take something like I mentioned, brewer's yeast, that normally produces ethanol, and we can modify the DNA to produce different chemicals. And there's different ways to do this, but at the end of the day, we're getting a different natural ingredient. And the advantage of doing that versus traditional methods is that it's more sustainable than, say, extraction, where it's often low yields and you need a lot of biomass, a lot of resources to produce some of these ingredients, or a synthetic replace a synthetic route, which can be good, but you know, is at the end of the day is a synthetic ingredient and often relies on a lot of resources as well, and many steps of synthetic chemistry. So I present an example here, which I feel always helps, which is actually a program in our pipeline, pictured in the middle here is a natural product called ursodeoxycholic acid. That's an example ingredient here. It is a large volume active pharmaceutical ingredient and dietary supplement, very large volume ingredient. It's part of our portfolio with a partner that actually can be extracted from nature. It's there in fairly low levels, can be extracted from nature. Now, I think I'm being pretty generous here in showing a plant. This is actually extracted from animal source. And I'll get into that in a sec. So it can be extracted from an animal source at very low levels, or it can be prepared synthetically in a very complicated, expensive synthesis. Now, how they actually manufacture it at scale is a combination of the two. So they use animal byproducts as its raw material in a fairly messy supply chain, and then do, as you can imagine, and then do chemical synthesis to convert it into this intermediate, ursodeoxycholic acid. So what we've done with our partner Sandhill One, and I'll talk about our pipeline in a second here, is we have found an abundant raw material from nature, and we've developed a precision fermentation process that converts that raw material into ursodeoxycholic acid in one step. So we've developed a process that it gets rid of that messy supply chain. It doesn't rely on animal sourced raw materials. It gets rid of all the chemistry. It provides a more secure supply chain. It's a natural product, but most importantly is it can be potentially produced at lower cost. So we believe that. So why isn't everybody doing this? Traditionally it is developing these products. It's not a solution for everything. So it is complementary to traditional extraction technologies and traditional synthesis technologies. Where it works really well. One of the hindrances in the past is that the development timelines have been quite long, but we believe at Willow, we have a best-in-class technology platform. We call it FutureGrown, to do this engineering rapidly, effectively, and in reasonable timeframes to provide these ingredients like ursodeoxycholic acid more sustainably, more securely, and ultimately with lower cost. And so where this platform really shines is when nature and chemistry fails. So something that's rare in nature, difficult to extract, requires a huge amount of resources and biomass to get that natural product out. That's a real problem. That's a great opportunity for precision fermentation. And where the chemistry is really poor or there's a lot of steps, it's another great opportunity for precision fermentations. I should have mentioned, some people like to use the phrase cellular factory. So that's really what you're doing, is you're turning an organism into a cellular factory to make these ingredients in a more sustainable, lower cost route. So as you can imagine, the opportunity here is pretty vast. I'll go on to the next slide here. You can see what the opportunity may look like, and the areas that we're focused on at Willow. So we are really focused on the problems I just described, more higher value ingredients, natural ingredients for these different opportunities. In the pharma space, where we're quite active, is we can replace synthetic processes, where we can cut out steps in the synthesis and really reduce the cost of goods for manufacturing. Dietary supplements is a huge growing space right now, where we can replace synthetic ingredients with natural ingredients and actually enable bringing new natural products to market. So things that are so difficult to extract, or so difficult to synthesize or too expensive to synthesize that they don't even exist as products yet. And we can bring these natural products to market. A huge opportunity for our platform. Cannabinoids is another large opportunity. That's really where we built the whole platform, was initially was on cannabinoids. Huge opportunity to replace the unsustainable chemical and extraction methods. Food and feed is another large opportunity that we're focused on with different partners, to replace synthetic ingredients with natural food ingredients. And then the natural food preservatives market as well, which is really a subset of the food and feed, for looking for new natural preservatives that we can be used in our food chain to get rid of some of the synthetic ingredients. So a lot of big numbers here. Everybody likes to present these big opportunities. The real question is, how does Willow make its money here? So we make our money really by developing our own processes. So we can develop our own processes, and we can sell ingredients into these different sectors. As I said, we have an end-to-end solution to do that. But more recently, we've really focused on partnerships that bring near-term or revenue. So partnering with companies in these different sectors, to partnering with them to bring our technology solution, and they bring their experience in terms of managing the regulatory, managing manufacturing, and selling and marketing, so that we can get these products, these ingredients, to market faster. Now, another benefit of that is it really brings near-term revenue for us in the form of R&D milestone payments, and then we can either produce the ingredient for the partner, or they can manage it, and we'll collect a royalty upon commercialization. So that's been our focus really the past year or so, is really on partnerships in this, to really focus on that near-term revenue opportunities and bringing things to market faster, which you can do with a partnership. And in many cases, a small company like us, we simply can't commercialize in some of these sectors. We don't have the institutional knowledge necessarily for regulatory understanding in these different spaces. So a partnership can bring in that expertise that really, the perception on a partnership is you may be giving up value, but in fact, we're really just enabling growth, because the partner brings, a legacy of experience to understand how to bring these ingredients to market, especially in the food and the pharma space. So we believe, out of these sectors, we've really assembled a really balanced portfolio, with more coming, high-value ingredients of our own and partnerships that I'm excited here to show you on the next slide. So this is a snapshot of our current portfolio, which changes, seems to be expanding on an almost weekly basis. Through different partnerships. So I've got them broken in, biosynthesis and bioconversion. It's not so relevant for this discussion, the technical differences here. I think the key takeaway is these bioconversions are typically much faster, so much quicker time to market, shorter development times and a quicker time to market. So we've seen those programs, that segment really start to grow over the past year, as that's been our strategy. We see that continuing to grow. But we also have some larger biosynthesis programs that generally take longer, but can bring, a much higher value longer term. So just going through the pipeline quickly, cannabigerol, our first one, it's our own ingredient that we've launched and we've sold, and we're launching it at even a larger industrial scale later this year for selling into markets. We recently brought in a partnership for age-related diseases as a dietary supplement, pharma applications, which is a longer program, and we've opted to partner that. It's bringing in some significant R&D milestone revenues in 2023 and 2024. We have a couple programs that one that we've developed that we're in partnering discussions with folks right now, and a new program from a partner for a very large volume active pharmaceutical ingredient that we're in late stage negotiations. So we're continuing to grow that pipeline of opportunities. Now, on the bioconversions, our real lead program here is the UDCA program, which I highlighted in a previous slide, which is for that high volume active pharmaceutical ingredient. That is in R&D right now and going into the pilot and scaling stage here shortly in the second half of this year, or actually later this month. And we're targeting, initial commercial sales in the second half of 2024. So again, a very short time to market and commercialization with some of these programs. Second program is a food ingredient with CANSF, again in the R&D stage, but targeting potential commercial revenues in late 2024, early 2025. A couple additional programs that we're in late stage negotiations with partners for pharmaceutical opportunities, actually for their molecules. And then we have our own proprietary program that is an R&D stage right now that is for a very large volume ingredient opportunity as well. And what is really exciting about these 5 is that they actually all leverage one of our platforms that we call BioOxy, which is a great platform for manufacturing. It cuts out 4 or 5 steps of synthesis in a manufacturing scheme, which really reduces the costs of manufacturing. And so there's been a lot of interest from the industry from that. And we see a lot of value in that platform, and we'll see continued growth over the coming months and years for that particular platform. And we like it because we understand the programs, the technical feasibility is very high, and the time to market is very short. So to summarize, I think we have a diverse portfolio of opportunities here that are generating R&D and milestone revenue now in 2023, and expected to bring commercial revenue in 2024. So the very last one here is actually another program we just started with CANSF, second program. That's an R&D, but is expected to bring commercial revenues potentially first half of 2024. So a very quick program. So as we look forward, the catalyst for us in the next coming years, so really in 2023, what to look for is a growing the pipeline and growing the partnerships, looking for more significant partnerships, perhaps some household names with those partnerships, those companies. Continue to execute on the programs to make sure that we have success and we see that commercial revenue in 2024, and just overall continue to grow the pipeline. As we move into 2024, it's really all about generating commercial revenues, getting to that commercial scale and generating that commercial revenue, product revenue that we want, and continuing to grow in the R&D product revenue and the whole pipeline as well, and partnerships. Really leverage the success from previous programs. And then into 2025, it's really seeing substantial growth from the programs we launched in 2024, bringing some of our bigger biosynthesis programs to commercial reality, and just overall continuing to have a nice healthy mix of R&D, royalty, and product revenue, milestone revenue, and continuing to grow the company. And then lastly, just on the market summary for folks, we've raised $65 million. A few financings with insider participation in all of them, currently held at just under 30%. With that funding, we believe we have a best-in-class technology platform and a rich pipeline of products and partnerships that I just showed you. As of the end of Q1, $10.5 million in the bank with no debt. And so that's Willow. Best-in-class technology for making natural ingredients through precision fermentation, rich pipeline of partnerships and products, and continue growth through 2023, 2024, and a clear path to that commercial revenue. That's Willow. Thank you for your time.
Great job, Chris. Yes, let's jump into some questions because I also want to know a little bit more. So let's explain this. What exactly is precision fermentation, and how can it help save our planet's resources while reducing your partner's product costs, all the while fostering faster time to market and innovation? So explain that a little bit more for us.
Yeah, so precision engineering, it really is, as I mentioned, is re-engineering an organism to produce different ingredients, or higher value ingredients, and doing that in a more cost-effective, sustainable manner. And so by doing that, we not only help the economy or help a partner, but it also really helps the planet. So really helping both in tandem with this technology. And I should say, I know it's an emerging technology, but it is proven and it has been fairly well adopted by different companies. So I think consumers probably don't even know. So insulin, stevia, Taxol, a number of antibiotics. Folks may know the Impossible Burger, which gives the leg hemoglobin that gives it that nice red color, was produced through precision fermentation. So there's a number of products out there. We believe the opportunity for us in helping partners and helping the planet is, the FutureGrown platform. It allows us to develop these processes really quickly. That's been the hindrance in the past, has been a lot of upfront development, a lot of costs, and we believe we can shorten that time frame and really enable expansion of these and adoption of precision fermentation.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like Willow has two complementary technology platforms. You have yeast strain engineering and your Bioxy platform. So what problems can these platforms solve, and why do customers seek to partner with you?
That's good. Yeah. So the strain engineering, the yeast strain engineering, really, it is our core technology. So the Bioxy actually came out of some of those developments. And while we believe we have a best-in-class strain engineering technology, we really love Bioxy from when I have my business hat. I love the chemistry part of it, of course, but when I have my business hat, I really like the Bioxy platform because it solves some really difficult chemistry that doesn't exist. You can cut 4 or 5 steps out of a manufacturing route using the chemistry that Bioxy does. Now, the 4 or 5 steps represents a huge cost reduction. So there's been a lot of interest from partners on that platform. And we like this. For us, we like it because it really, these programs are short, we understand how to do them, and it really brings us near term revenue. A lot of interest, so we get the R&D revenue from a particular partner, and the time to commercialization is as short as less than 18 months to see commercial revenues coming in from these programs. So we really expect to continue to add our Bioxy programs here this year and into 2024.
And also, it looks like the company made some big strides in recent quarter, repositioning its portfolio well beyond your first commercial project in producing the CBG toward producing high-value ingredients. So, Chris, describe how this has improved your business model and your go-to-market capabilities.
Yeah, in the past year or so, we've really, we built the whole platform on cannabinoids and on CBG, but over the past year, we've really diversified our portfolio, our business strategy to bring in more partnerships that bring in a near-term revenue for us. And so in the form of R&D and milestone payments, and also focus on bringing in partnerships to help with facilitating commercialization, bringing in that legacy experience of how to actually manufacture these ingredients, get them through the regulatory process, and sell and market. So, over the past year, well, we've only started doing that over the past year, so we've seen a real uptick in terms of business development and partnerships, and we actually represents, I think, our first, for our revenue forecast, these partnerships really represent the bulk of our revenue coming in our forecast in 2024. So we're really excited about the response from the market and the continued growth from these partnerships. So it's been, the last year has been quite exciting, and just continues to be exciting. Now, with that said, we're not giving up on our own ingredients or CBG. It really represents long-term growth opportunity for us for selling our own ingredients like that as well.
Makes sense. And the company's market cap is roughly the same as its cash balance with no debt. So why do you think that is?
Oh boy, I'm not a capital markets guy, but of course I own stocks and invest, and it's just been, the whole macro market is tough right now, especially in biotech. There's a lot of even, established biotechs that are, trading at historical lows as people move into so-called, less risky investments. From our perspective, we're going to continue. We laid out a strategy in the past year for focusing on near-term revenue, on partnerships that can get us to market faster. So we're going to focus on that strategy, continue to focus on project execution to make sure that commercial revenue comes in 2024. And generate that near-term revenue in the form of R&D and milestone payments, and presumably the stock will come with the increases in revenues.
Makes sense. It also sounds like up to the end of last year, the company was focused on setting itself up for better growth in the quarters ahead. So what should investors expect for revenue this year?
Revenue, Yeah, so that's the revenue growth in the early years. Obviously, was pretty minimal because we were building the whole platform. But we've been around since 2019. Last year, as we transitioned our business models, we booked around 850,000 in revenue, primarily through R&D payments, and anticipate significant growth here in 2023 as we execute on that overall strategy. And then, so far seem to be on track. And then, in 2024, it's really continuing to grow that R&D and milestone revenue, and get into that commercial revenue. So far, we're on track. We're on track to do that. So I know I didn't give you any hard numbers on that, but I would see so far we see we're on track for some significant revenue growth through 2023, and then really getting into that commercial revenue in 2024.
Perfect. This has been a wonderful presentation. Great job, Chris. And truly, your technology seems very important in a world where we have limited resources and a growing population. So to close, talk about what catalysts should investors expect going forward that could signal improvements in growth and potentially the company's share price.
Yeah, so through 2023, we expect new agreements, partnerships, some more significant agreements with larger partners, and what I think folks need to look for is that the continued execution on the plan, which is form of new agreements, new partnerships, more significant agreements, and continued execution on the programs to make sure we get to that commercial revenue in 2024. So stay tuned, and we'll provide updates as all of these things happen.
Perfect. Thank you for your time with us, and we would love for you to come back in the future with some updates.
Fantastic. I really appreciate the opportunity, Anna. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
All right, everyone, stay with us. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back in about 8 minutes with our next presenter. We'll see you soon.